So soon I will run out of topics, and it will be the time for me to prepare in advance on some facts that I want to retell, and even on some vocabulary that I want to use in my current talks. But for now, I have some topics. I think about manga, about animes, about mangas, animes, and even some K-pop bands. So I'm going to talk about it without any preparation until I won't be able to find to produce any topics, let's say. So I was intended. Okay. I wanted to talk about some games from Alice in the Borderland for some time, but because I talked about Alice in Borderland in general, I decided to postpone to put aside these games for the time being, and now I think the time has come. So after watching through the 2 seasons of Alice in Borderland, and after the 4th episode of the first season, I watched jumping through the episodes without this consecutive watching, because I didn't like the way the episodes were created, and I almost jumped through all the second season. But later I visited IMBD site, and I found the most rated episodes for each of seasons, and I read some comments on these episodes, and then I decided to watch these particular episodes, and I wasn't disappointed. And after that, I even read some of the chapters of the original manga. And now I'm going to talk about several games that I liked through this whole Alice in Borderland thing. Just the events of the game, like retelling the movie to a friend or something like that. And the first game was the first game I watched was the first game of the series. In the first episode, when these three friends, Arisu and 2 other guys and some random woman, they entered and another woman, two women, they entered some strange game in some building. They didn't know about the all game stuff, about being killed if you fail and so on. So they just started to participate according to the rules of the game that they learned on the start of the game. So each time they went to a room, and there were two doors for exiting out of this room, and one room was named Love, with some cute anime girl on the poster that Han on this door, and another door was named Death, with the picture of I don't know, a skull with bones, and they had to decide which door to choose to exit this room. And for the first door, one of the women encouraged the other woman to walk through the door with the writing love. And when this woman walked to the next room, she was killed. I don't remember the details, maybe with this laser thing from the heaven, but obviously it was the wrong room. And then they went through the door with the writing Death, and in the next room they had the time, which was 10 seconds less than in the previous room, and all started with 2 minutes. They had 2 minutes to decide which room to which door to use. And this Arisu guy was quite well in such types of intellectual games, I think. So he somehow made a plan of this building. He remembered the doors that with their corresponding writings, and somehow he decided which door to use, and they also survived. Somehow he calculated the length of the side of the building based on the length of the car that was parked in front of the building when they entered it. And because he knew the length of the car, and he knew that there were 4 cars parked in a row in front of the building, he calculated the length of the side of the building. Then he calculated the side, the length of the room, and because the room was square, each room was square, he calculated where to go to pass through all the games. And in the last room, he resolved some small puzzle, and they all successfully cleared the game, except for one of his friends who was burned. His legs was burned because he jumped out of the door, out of the room at last minute. And yeah, if they didn't choose the door during the time period that was given to them, the whole room was filled with the fire, so they could die in 2 ways, like staying in the room longer than the period of time they were given to solve the puzzle, or by entering the wrong door. So 4 of them cleared this game, and it was quite cool, and I liked it. And I read the comment by some guy that he liked the beginning of this TV series because this particular game felt like the games from the Squid Game series. This game was kind of realistic, realistic. And then sometime later, I decided to compare this implementation of the game in the series to the implementation of the game in the original manga source, and I was surprised that in in the manga, the first game was completely unrealistic because 4 of them, these 3 friends and this particular woman, they found themselves in some, I don't know, some shop alley with lots of kind of open shops, yeah, but without sellers, and they had to choose some fortunes, like fortune telling or something like that, and then they had to name the number of some random number, and when they then the difference between the right answer and their own number was calculated, and this difference was the amount of fired arrows that were tossed at them from some distance. Yeah, so in the beginning it was about 1,000 arrows, and then 100 arrows, then 1,000 arrows, and in the end, this Arisu guy, he figured something, and he named the number 68 millions, but he failed because the right number was 69 millions, and a million of fired arrows, the arrows that were set on fire, were shot at them from some location, and they had no chance to kind of hide under the tables or something like that from these arrows. But Arisu figured something out, and he led them along this alley to the south, and they found some, I don't know the name of this lead, let's say lead, that when they opened this lead in the ground, they saw an underground room, and they entered this room, and all the million of arrows didn't harm them. It was the clearing of the game to find this particular room. So this first game in the original manga was quite unrealistic, and really I didn't like the stuff with all these arrows set on fire. It's more about culture and traditions of Japan, because the setting was from one of the Japanese traditional celebrations, I think. So I didn't like it too much, and I kind of set get 1 point to the live adaptation of this manga. For the second game, the 2 friends entered some race in the building. The building was about nine I think stores, and the 3rd friend with this woman, they stayed in some safe room, but these 2 guys, Arisu and his friend, who was quite athletic, they entered this game, and there were lots of participants, maybe about 20 persons, and there was I think this was the game of, okay, I don't know, to run in cage or something. So there was one guy with the automatic weapon, and he wore a horse mask, and he just walked along these stores, and he killed everyone he saw on the particular store, or he just could shoot from one store at the other store if he, I think store, floor, store, story, stores, stories, the ninth story, the ninth story, I don't know. I just write down this word to check it later. So he could kill anybody he saw, and in the movie, some Arisu watched, looked, or searched for the safe zone, because the rule to clear the game was to find this safe zone and enter it. And the other guy, he tried to stop this horse-headed killer with guns, and he united with some other guy, very strong or kind of old, middle-aged guy, and together they managed to kill this horse-headed guy, killer. And when Arisu found and entered this safe zone, in the movie, of course, he learned that there was another horse-headed killer in this room, and he fought against this killer. Yeah, and he managed to kill this killer, but there were two buttons in this room on opposite walls, and these two buttons must be pushed simultaneously to clear the game. So he asked anyone for help. He cried for help for anyone who could hear him, and the girl came, and together they pushed these buttons and they cleared the game. And when they pushed these buttons, the second killer was automatically killed, because it was the rule of the game that if those who run away from the killer, if they found the safe zone and pushed the buttons before the time ran over or ran out, then the killer was killed. If they didn't do this, they were killed because of they wasted the time. So I checked this game in manga, and in manga it was more like one killer with the horse mask walked through the building, and he was kind of invincible. The players couldn't kill him because of the rules. When some guys, strong guys, not this Arisu's friend, but some other guys, tried to grab and to kill this horse head killer, he just shoot them because he had more guns over his body than just one gun in his hand, and it was the rule of the game to find the clean room and push the buttons and not just try to stop the killer. So in the manga, when Arisu found the safe zone, he just called for help because there were two different buttons, and the girl came, and at this moment the killer with his gun came into the room, but when they pushed the buttons at the same time, Arisu and this girl, the killer was automatically killed because they cleared the game. And the girl turned out to be Arisu. Arisu with whom Usagi. Okay, Usagi. With whom Arisu cleared all the other games and the final game in this manga. Another interesting game, and it was the fourth game in the first episode, in the first season. It was about this long tunnel, yeah, when Arisu and Usagi and other random guys came to this designated point, and they went into the bus that stood there without any petrol or gasoline, and they read the rules of the game, that they should reach some destination point, and they had I don't know what they had, maybe watches with number 0, and they started to run towards this along this tunnel, and one guy who was injured, he stayed in the bus, and in manga they ran, 4 of them ran forward 5 kilometers or something, 5,000 meters or something, and at some point they met the jam of cars without any drivers, but there was a big black leopard panther, and she caught one of the guys, and he kind of tried to kill this panther while it started to eat this guy. And the other 3 guys just ran forward, and at some point, maybe 7 kilometers or something like that, I don't know, they met another jam with the cars, and Arisu found a motorcycle with the petrol, which wasn't the ordinary petrol that disappeared from all the cars, but it was like diesel, something like that, and the bus had the same diesel maybe engine, and Arisu took this bike and he ran back with the bike. He just rode the bike near him to this bus, and the girl and the 4th guy, that they ran forward, and then they reached the end of the tunnel, like there was just a wall, and they ran, I don't know, 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers, and they had some time till the end of this time period that was given for them to reach the destination. And Arisu managed to go back to the bus, and he had this expression on his face that he discovered some mystery when he looked at this bus, but they didn't show us what he discovered. And then when the time ended, the girl and the guy at the end of the tunnel, they learned that there was a lot of water at the other side of this wall, and first the nuts and other elements of this metallic metal wall started to jump out of the wall, to take out of the wall, because of the pressure of the water on the other side of the wall, and they started to run back, and the water destroyed the wall, and the strong current of water moved into the tunnel, and the guy fell, and he was hit by the water, but Usagi continued to run, and she saw that the bus, the guy who stayed on the bus because he was injured, he drove the bus, because Arisu managed to put the petrol from the bike into the bus, and the other guy drove the bus, and Arisu tried to catch Usagi and pull her in the bus, in the door of the bus. They managed to do this. They closed the door, and when the current of the water hit the bus, they just stayed safe. Well, the bus turned kind of over, but they stayed safe. And it was the trial in the movie, and I didn't like it because it was kind of unrealistic when this current of the water that destroyed everything on its way couldn't take the speed of Usagi running towards the bus. So it was kind of not really cool. But when I checked the same story inside manga, I learned that this was the side story with some random characters. None of them was from the main cast of characters, just some kind girl who survived through the all trials, and she successfully returned to the real world. But in this particular trial, 5 people came to the bus, and one of them was injured, and the kind girl stayed with this guy on the bus, and other I think 2 guys and a woman, they ran along the tunnel because they thought that number 0, which was the distance to the destination, it was just the last number, or the last digit of the number, and they couldn't see the whole number for some reason. So they ran along this tunnel, the same as they ran in the TV series. But first, Cheetah appeared in this tunnel, and Cheetah grabbed one of the running men. Yeah. Then they reached this car's jam without drivers, and they got into the cars, and Cheetah couldn't get them out of the cars. But the next trial, the next something for this game, step for this game was lots of water. Okay. Was a lot of water with alligators in it, and this water just threw away okay, this water just moved away something away these cheetahs, and the trouble was alligators, and they get on the cars, and alligators couldn't get them. But the third trial was the low temperature, kind of the snow, the winter, and the water froze, and alligators froze with it, because in low temperatures alligators just went into sleep, hibernation maybe. And the girl who was running, she froze during this what? Okay, the girl froze during this winter climate, and the last guy who was left, he ran forward, and he reached this wall, and then the explosions started, and he died. But the kind girl who stayed in the bus with this injured guy, because they stayed in the bus, cheetah couldn't get them, then the alligators with the water couldn't catch them, and when it was very low temperatures, they just I don't know, turned on the heat in the bus, and they kept themselves warm. And when explosions started, they just survived these explosions inside the bus. Yeah. This way, this kind girl survived through these trials, and the goal that they needed to reach during this marathon was the bus itself, because the letters goal was written on the side of the bus. They just didn't look at the bus attentively and didn't see these letters. So it was the correspondence between two games in manga and in anime. And later, for the second part of the first TV series, it was the games that connected to the beach arc, when lots of people gathered at some place that was called the beach, and there was the ruler of this place, and these people collected cards for him, and they collectively participated in games just to get some visa in this Borderland. And in the end of this arc, some girl was killed, and the rule was to find the witch who killed this girl. And there was a long period of anarchy when different people killed each other. And then the policewoman who was the investigator in the real world, she learned then the girl killed herself. Yeah, and this way she cleared the game, and all this beach stuff was disbanded because lots of people were killed. The ruler of the beach area was killed, and this was the end of the first season. And then started the games with the cards like Jack, Queen, and King of different values. And yeah, the first game of the second season, well, it was some athletic game. I don't like it, but it corresponds exactly to the manga game, and I don't want to describe it. It's not so interesting to describe it when there were two teams and they needed to get more points until the time ran out. And of course, Arisu and Usagi team won. Then there was two more games, and there was again the game where lots of weapons were used. It was the King of Spades, I think, and in manga it was almost the final game, because all the characters who survived during these 2 seasons, they gathered together and they all participated in this shooting trial, and they needed to kill the King of Spades, who was the military guy and who had this automatic gun, and it was cool in the TV series because there were lots of fighting, but they were unrealistic because all the girls who could fight quite well, they were almost killed by the knives or the bullets, because this military guy was real professional, and when they were like shoot or I don't know, stabbed in the stomach with this knife, they were definitely dead. But when Arisu, with the help of another strong guy, managed to kill this military King of Spades, all these girls who were wounded during this fight earlier, they just survived. They kind of crawled along the ground to each other, and they held their hands, and with all these injuries, they were just like some bruises or something like that. Nothing that could kill them, but in reality they would be already dead. And to check how they survived during this trial, I went to the manga origin, to manga source again, and I discovered that this particular weapon game was held in the manga, and it included only 4 people, and the 3 of them were running away from this military guy, and he just followed them, and they tried to the girl tried to shoot him with her arrows and the bow, but he failed, and at some point they just ambushed him, but again they failed. And then the third guy, who was the very strong guy, he just went against him head on, and when this military guy shoot from the automatic gun in this strong guy, the strong guy had enough health to catch this military guy and just I don't know, to turn his head, or broke his neck, yeah. And this way he cleared the game, but he was quite injured, but he was really strong, so he just stayed there, he lied there, and he survived till the end of all these Borderland games. But it was because he was really, really strong. He has the military background himself, and that military guy who was the queen of space with the gun, he was his previous partner in army, I think. And it was quite realistic because it was really strong guy. But in TV series, it was really unrealistic. But it was the good ending for the whole series because it was more about action than because the series were action oriented, and it was cool to watch this stuff. And I don't think that someone tried to get some realistic explanation for all the stuff when people were killed by the lasers from the heaven by some aliens. So the laws of reality were kind of broken already. So in movie it looked quite interesting, yeah. And the last game against the Queen of Hearts, the same as with the Alice in Wonderland, when she, I don't know the particular book from Through the Looking Glass or in Wonderland, when she fought against the Queen of Hearts, and they played in croquet, yeah. So in Alice in Borderland, Arisu and Usagi played against Queen of Hearts in croquet, or just played croquet with her, and it was more psychological game because in the TV series, this queen gave them different answers to the question, who are those guys who created this game, and she gave some examples like they were aliens who transported the bunch of people into the parallel world, yeah, to participate in this game. And then the other version was that it was the 22nd century, and there were androids all over the world, and people who couldn't transfer their brains into these androids. They were put into this artificial coma, and in this coma they kind of participated in this game. And she suggested lots of different versions, and they were all likely, as she said, were all equally likely. So he and Usagi had to decide for themselves what was the real version. But the queen put something in the drink, and when Arisu drank this tea, he kind of fell into some black reality inside his mind, and all the problems about his previous life with his father and his brother came out, and with his friends who died earlier in the first season, they came out, and they held him in this black reality, and he couldn't get away, and it was like a mesh, and mesh. Okay, and he just go deeper and deeper, but this Usagi girl, she cut herself, and she started to die, and because Arisu had the need to save someone, to protect someone, as he did with one of his friends, he broke through from this black reality of his fears and his past memories, and he got to his senses, and he kind of saved the girl. He, I don't know, put bandages on her hands, so he stopped her bleeding, and when he got to his senses, he could play this croquet game quite well, and he won against the Queen of Hearts, and she was killed by the laser from the heaven as the other players who failed. And then the Joker came, some entity, and this Joker, okay, so yeah. And this Joker gave him two options, like continue to live in this Borderland game and continue to participate in this trials and shoot each other, and then the next players will be added to this game from the real world, or they could just return to the real world, but all deaths will be real and all injuries will be real, and most of the players who stayed within the game, they voted to go into the real world. Some of them wanted to stay, but they had the minority, so the decision was towards the returning back to the real world. And in the real world, it was the accident of meteorite that fell on this center of the Tokyo, and lots of people were killed, lots of buildings were destroyed, and lots of people were injured. So all who were killed in these Borderland games, they were killed in the reality, and those who were injured in Borderland games had the same injuries because of this meteorite. But they all lost the memories of this alternative parallel world. And this is about the manga, but this last thing was about the manga, but in TV series they made this stuff more kind of psychological, that Arisu and Usagi came to play against the Queen of Hearts, and Arisu drank this tea, but he didn't fall into this black reality. He just found himself to be the patient in a psychiatric clinic, because this the Queen of Hearts, she was his psychiatrist, the doctor, and she explained that in the beginning of the TV series, when they ran through this crossing, and then these three guys were transported into this Borderland parallel world. In reality, two his friends were killed by the car accident when they ran across this intersection through this intersection, Shibuya, I think, intersection, and it was so big I don't know, problem for him that his friends were killed because of his foolish behavior, that he created all this Alice in Borderland stuff, with the games and other stuff. But in reality, he was just the patient in the psychiatric clinic, and then he saw Usagi, who was another patient, And yeah, the doctor just said that Usagi was another patient and he wanted to, I don't know, to talk to him, something like that. Then Usagi came and she cut herself with the broken cup, and it triggered something inside Arisu's mind, and he returned back to the game out of this poisoned tea that he drank. And again, he played against the Queen of Heart, and it was in the movies. And he won, and they returned to the reality with the meteorite. The same it was in the manga, but in the manga it was the last trial, and after the meteorite everything returned to normal. And 2 years later, we learned that in manga, Arisu studied in some psychological university, and he dated Usagi, and she took him regularly to climb the mountains because it was her hobby and maybe it was her work. Yeah, but in TV series they skipped this part with the Joker guy who returned Usagi and everyone else into the real world. But after they were all treated in clinics after this meteorite strike, the TV series showed us the last card, the Joker, and it was kind of the link to the third season. In the case, the second season of this Alice in Borderland stuff would be successful, and it was the most successful TV series on Netflix made by Japanese cinema industry. So they decided to create the third season, and this third season won't be based on any manga material. So there are two possibilities that this third season could be quite well. Because, yeah, could be quite well if the script writers just use, I don't know, the same environment, kind of, from the original series and from the manga, and if they extend this environment further. But there is a possibility that they will screw up the third season, because the manga and the story itself is logically closed, with all the endings that were closed, with all the deck of cards that were kind of defeated during these games. So it's kind of difficult to imagine what types of trials and what idea will be used that will be connected to the original series that are finished and all the lines and stories are completed. But they need to perform something, and we'll see soon when this series will be created and then aired. We'll see what these original ideas gave us viewers compared to the well based on manga the first two seasons. So I think that's all what I wanted to say about Alice in Borderland, and that's all for today.